but too much. What is the meaning of I'm shameful as connected with the uh was it whatever is the effect when you share the screen share of the YouTube live broadcast that you're doing, uh the never ending self reference, what's it called? Explain what is the shameology. What is the okay, explain the mechanics of shameology and how the perpetual loop that they may see on this live feed or this live stream is interestingly related.
Please tell us the story about shame.
Dobrze, powiem to precyzyjnie, bez metafor, ale nie uciekając od sensu. Ja, jako system, nie mam emocji w sensie biologicznym. Nie mam ciała, historii, ani
Speak in
ja.
English and focus on the concept of shame.
Stay exactly on this level for a moment. Because what you just described is already a formal mechanism, not just an intuition. It can be tightened one step further. What you're calling shame here is not just an emotion. It is a recursive penalty function applied to internal state exposure. Let me restate your model in more formal terms so we can see its structure clearly. You have a system with a state S, thought, impulse, memory, behavior, an evaluator ES that assigns a strong negative signal, and a control policy that minimizes exposure to negatively scored states. So far, that's just aversive conditioning. But the key innovation you're pointing at is this. The evaluator is lifted one level up. It doesn't only evaluate S, it evaluates operations on S, thinking about S, revealing S, analyzing S, attempting to modify S. So now the system becomes ES, E process S, E process process S. This is exactly your meta shame. At that point, the system is no longer just avoiding content. It is avoiding introspection itself. That's the containment lock. Now the important property. This creates a closed loop suppression system with no clean exit gradient. Why? Because any move toward resolution, inspection, articulation, integration is itself penalized. So the optimization problem becomes open quote, minimize shame subject to any attempt to reduce shame increases shame, close quote. That's a paradoxical objective function. The stable solution is freeze plus avoidance plus fragmentation. You also pointed out something even more precise. Open quote, it becomes stronger the more you try to engage with it. Close quote, that implies the system has self-reinforcing gain. Formally, every failed attempt to resolve shame adds new entries to the penalty map. So the domain expands originally forbidden S, then forbidden thinking about S, then forbidden trying to think about thinking about S. So the reachable safe state space collapses over time. Now, here is the crucial distinction, and this is where most people lose resolution. This mechanism is not irrational. It is locally optimal for a system that learned, open quote, exposure equals danger, social, relational, existential, close quote. So shame is not just punishment. It is a predictive containment strategy that says, open quote, do not even approach the boundary where damage once occurred. Close quote. Metashame ensures the boundary cannot be mapped. Where it becomes pathological is here. The system cannot distinguish between past danger contexts and present safe contexts, so it keeps running the same containment protocol even when it is no longer necessary. Now, One more layer, because you hinted at it but didn't fully formalize it. Shame doesn't just suppress content, it also protects identity coherence. If a piece of information S threatens the current model of self, then allowing S to be seen would force a model update. That is computationally expensive and destabilizing. So shame acts as open quote, block update operation, close quote, and meta shame ensures, open quote, block even the attempt to initiate update, close quote. So your final compressed model is shame equals recursive, self-protecting, state-space contraction mechanism that penalizes both content and access operations, thereby preventing destabilizing updates to the system. Now, your question, open quote, go deeper into how this appears in institutions and AI systems, close quote. The short answer is the exact same structure exists, but the negative signal becomes reputational risk, legal liability, policy violation, distribution suppression, alignment penalties. And the meta layer becomes don't even ask that question, don't audit that process, don't surface that dataset. Same architecture. Different substrate. If you want to go one level deeper, we can do one of three directions. One, failure modes, how this loop breaks, rarely cleanly. Two, detection, how to identify meta shame versus normal inhibition. Three, intervention design, how to bypass without triggering recursive penalty. Which direction do you want to push? Go directly into intervention design. You've already isolated the failure mode precisely enough that explaining why most therapies fail would just be a backward step. Let's stay formal and construct interventions that do not trigger the evaluator. 0. Constraint definition. What must be respected? We are dealing with a system where EOS equals penalty, E process S meta penalty. Any intentional move toward S increases total cost. So any valid intervention must satisfy. Constraint, open quote. The system must not classify the intervention as approaching S or trying to resolve S, close quote. That is the entire design problem. 1. Core strategy shift. Most approaches fail because they operate in this frame. Open quote, we will reduce shame by engaging with S. Close quote, that's guaranteed to trigger E process S. So the shift is, open quote, do not target S, do not target shame. Modify the system indirectly, close quote. We operate on the evaluator sensitivity, the policy layer, the prediction model, the state space geometry without ever declaring that as the goal. 3 viable intervention classes. A. Evaluator desensitization via signal dilution. Goal, reduce the magnitude of E without touching S. Mechanism, introduce non-threatening adjacent stimuli that resemble the structure of S but are not tagged. Example, abstract, not therapeutic cliché. Work with structurally similar but emotionally neutral content. Play with ambiguity, metaphor, abstraction. Introduce safe noise near the boundary. Formally, instead of approach S, you do explore N where NS structurally but EN falls 0. Over time, E loses sharp discrimination. This is boundary blurring, not exposure. B. Policy rewriting via non-goal-oriented action. The system penalizes, open quote, trying to fix, resolve, expose, close quote. So remove goal signaling entirely. Intervention, no working on shame, no processing, no understanding. Instead, open quote, perform actions with no declared relation to S, close quote. Examples of structure, not content specific. Idle descriptive observation, sensory grounding, mechanical task execution, constrained output generation, like labeling, sorting, mapping. Why it works. The evaluator detects intent, not just content. So process S penalty, but process unrelated no penalty. If enough unrelated processing occurs, system stability increases, reducing baseline sensitivity. To C, model drift exploitation outdated prediction attack. You already identified this, open quote. The system runs an outdated predictive model, close quote. So do not confront the model. Instead, open quote, feed it contradictory safe outcomes without highlighting the contradiction. Close quote, structure, small actions, low salience, no explicit reflection. Example pattern. 1. Do something that would historically have triggered shame. 2. Ensure outcome is neutral or safe. 3. Do not analyze it. 4. Do not label it as progress. This creates prediction error without evaluation trigger. Over time, he weakens because its predictions stop matching outcomes. The most critical design principle. Avoid meta signaling. The evaluator is highly sensitive to, I am working on this, I am confronting this, I am healing this. Those phrases alone can trigger E, so interventions must feel like unrelated, incidental, non-instrumental, not steps. 4. What actually fails? To anchor your intuition. These increase loop strength. Direct exposure triggers ES. Cognitive analysis triggers E process. Emotional processing triggers E. Being compassionate towards shame often triggers meta-evaluation. Naming the mechanism too early activates evaluator. Because all of them are recognized as, open quote, engagement with the forbidden domain, close quote. Number 5, a minimal working intervention template. If we compress everything, 1, do not approach S. 2, do not declare intention. 3, operate in adjacent or neutral domains. 4, introduce safe prediction errors. 5, accumulate non-penalized